What I am about to tell you in this video could hold an entire country hostage, bring millions of businesses to their knees, and even be used as a weapon in modern warfare. Sounds dramatic. Well, welcome to the world of zero-day vulnerabilities. These are rare, powerful digital weapons used by hackers, cyber criminals, and yes, even governments, with some pretty shady intentions. These vulnerabilities are the crown jewels, the most valuable and dangerous treasures of the digital age. But what exactly is a zero-day vulnerability? How do cyber criminals get their hands on these secret keys? And what do governments do with them? Stick around because it is going to get interesting. Let us start with a simple scenario. Imagine Joe. Joe is just your average office worker. It is a normal day and Joe's boss asks him to organize their online store catalog, update old products, add new ones, check the prices, the usual grind. Joe is doing his thing. Suddenly, he decides to take a coffee break. But as luck would have it, Joe trips over the mouse cable. In an attempt to not spill his hot coffee, he randomly smashes some keys on the keyboard. And then, bam, a pop-up appears on the screen saying, "Full system control activated. You now have access to all store data." Joe turns white. He realizes this is not normal. What Joe does not realize is that by accident, he just stumbled upon a digital goldmine. A bug so valuable, so powerful, that it could make him rich overnight. Here is the thing. Every website, every app, and every digital system out there is made of thousands, sometimes millions of lines of code. Each line has a specific job. For example, one line might say, "Make the background green." Another might say, "When the user clicks the login button, check their credentials and give access to their bank account." Think of all these lines as pieces of a gigantic jigsaw puzzle. Each piece fits perfectly with the others to create the full picture. But if even one piece is missing or does not fit right, the puzzle is incomplete and the system can break. Now imagine that in this massive puzzle, some pieces are faulty. They do not fit perfectly or are placed incorrectly. On the surface, everything looks fine because the differences are tiny, almost invisible. But if you zoom in, you will notice a tiny crack between the pieces. And that crack is where a hacker can sneak in. This is what a vulnerability is: a flaw in the code, a bug, an open door that lets someone access private information, mess with data, or even take over the entire system. So, what is the deal with governments and zero days? For any company, keeping their systems flawless is priority number one. This is not just about ethics, it is business. When you trust a service with your data, you create value for that company. One security hole can cost millions, destroy customer trust, and ruin a company's reputation forever. That is why when a vulnerability is discovered, there is a race against the clock to fix it by releasing a security patch. If a bug was found a week ago, it is probably patched already. If it was discovered yesterday, the fix is likely coming soon. Speed is critical to keep data safe and customers happy. After all, none of us want our Facebook, Instagram, or Amazon info leaked all over the internet. But what happens when Joe discovers a bug that nobody else knows about? What if he decides to keep it a secret instead of reporting it? That, my friend, is a zero-day vulnerability. A zero-day means 0 days since it was discovered. Or, in other words, the developers have no idea this bug exists, so no patch is ready. Joe now holds a secret weapon, a bug that can be exploited at any moment and no one can stop it yet. Could Joe use this bug to make money, cause chaos, or just mess around? Of course. But finding these bugs is like finding a needle in a haystack. They are incredibly rare and hard to detect. They are hidden among millions of lines of code, and that is what makes them so valuable. Because they are so scarce and so dangerous, a whole market has developed around zero-day vulnerabilities. First, there is the white market. Here, security researchers report bugs to companies or software makers, responsibly disclosing vulnerabilities so they can be patched. Big players like Google and Microsoft even offer rewards, sometimes up to millions of dollars, for reporting serious bugs. Then there is the gray market. This is a bit murkier. Vulnerabilities are sold to intermediaries who might not have entirely clear intentions. And finally, the black market, the dark underbelly where 0 days are sold to cybercriminals and spies. Here, these vulnerabilities are used to hack systems, steal data, and sabotage entire infrastructures. For example, Fancy Bear, a notorious hacking group, exploited 0 days in numerous cyber espionage campaigns. This shows just how dangerous these bugs can be when wielded by the wrong people. A single 0-day exploit can sell for hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. There are companies like Zerodium and Exodus Intelligence that act as middlemen between sellers and buyers, offering huge sums for the most valuable bugs. They list the types of vulnerabilities they want, how the buying process works, and even have payout tables. Yes, bug hunting has a salary scale now, but it is not just about making money. This system helps companies prevent massive cyber attacks. Take the infamous WannaCry ransomware attack in 2017. It caused global chaos, locking up files on tens of thousands of computers permanently. WannaCry exploited a 0-day called Eternal Blue, developed by the U.S. National Security Agency, the NSA, as a spying tool. Eternal Blue took advantage of a flaw in Windows that allowed hackers to run malicious code remotely. The NSA kept it secret, planning to use it for their own missions. But in 2016, the hacker group Shadow Broker stole and leaked Eternal Blue online. Once leaked, cyber criminals worldwide went wild, unleashing WannaCry and causing one of the biggest cyber disasters ever. By definition, 0-day exploits are threats with no known defense yet. Fighting them means battling the unknown. That is why keeping your devices updated with the latest security patches is your best defense. And that is a wrap for today. If you enjoyed this deep dive into 0-day vulnerabilities, hit like, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Stay safe out there, and remember, in the digital world, sometimes the tiniest crack can bring down the whole castle.